Hey, this is Chris from Rekkid Talk. So this week on Ranking the Albums, we are going to be ranking the albums of the international lineup of the quote-unquote gypsy punk band Gogol Bordello, led by Eugene Hütz. So they've been around since 1999 was their first album came out. There are people who have immigrated. A lot of them have immigrated to the United States from all over the world. So the leader of the band, Eugene Hütz, was born in the Ukraine and was still part of the Soviet Union then. I think immigrated to the U.S. in the early 90s. I think he was probably in his late teens or early 20s at that point of time. Band sort of got together in New York City. And so they refer to it as gypsy punk. One of the album titles has that term in it. I know that is sort of a politically charged term. The Roma people are not crazy about that gypsy term. So, but like the current lineup of the band, so the band is sort of a mix of sort of traditional Roma music, along with rock, and especially a punk rock aesthetic to it. Um, Current members of the band, as I said, they're very international and where people are from. Ukraine, Russia, Ethiopia, Ecuador, United States. Some of the current members. The music, along with your typical rock instruments, there's also a lot of accordion and violin featured, sometimes some saxophone as well, backup singers, dancers. Some of the former members, um, United States, Russia, Israel, Romania, United Kingdom, Belarus, Scotland, China. Um, so quite people from all over the place. So I'm wearing my Gogol Bordello shirt of Voila Intruder, which was their debut album. And so of their 7 studio albums, I'm actually ranking their debut, Voila Intruder, as my number 7. This is going to be an all CD episode. And in fact, this is an all digipak episode. So everything I have by them is a digipak. And so why I'm rating the first album as my number 7 is that I don't think they've really quite found their sound yet. There's not really much punk about it. And it gets kind of samey, samey, kind of a little bit boring sounding, honestly. Not sure if the pronunciation of his name, but Jim Skalvunas, who I know has been in like Sonic Youth, The Cramps, kind of those circles, was the producer of the album. And there have been some known producers along the way. My number 6 album is from 2013. So this is the second to the last album that they put out. And so that's Eugene there on the cover. It's called Pure Vita Conspiracy. I think reading up on it, it seemed like the critics liked this album more than I did. It seemed, especially compared to the albums that came out right before it, which you'll hear more about later. This was after Eugene had moved to Brazil, so there's a little bit less of sort of the Roma, quote-unquote, gypsy punk influence, a little bit more Latin influence, a little bit slower. And in my Gogol Bordello, I kind of want that punk, that that punk Roma sound mix is kind of what I want. That's where I think they shine. So this isn't a favorite of mine. Number 5 is going to be their most recent album from 2017, Seekers and Finders. This is a little bit better than Pure Vita Conspiracy. It's certainly tighter than Pure Vita. A little bit more of that sort of Gogol Bordello gypsy punk sound. Maybe not as frantic as some of the albums I prefer. But Saboteur Blues, Familia, Bonfireball, a couple of really good tracks from this particular album. Uh, my number 4 is going to be Multi Contra Colti versus Irony. This was from 2002. This was their second album. And again, the first album really didn't have much of a punk feel. This is the one that really starts having kind of what I associate as the Gogol Bordello sound, mixing the punk with that traditional sort of Eastern European sound. When the Tricksters Start a Poking, Bordello kind of guy. Really good song that leads us off. Punk rock, Paranda. Uh, so they're getting flowing. Then the last 3 albums, I think if you're a newcomer, you've never listened to Gogol Bordello before, and you want to check them out, I think any one of the top 3 that I'm going to mention would be where I would go to. Um, so my number 3 album is Super Taranta from 2007. Very colorful digipack here. Let's see, we got, pull out the disc here. Super Taranta from 2007. In my reading, it seemed like of sort of your standard critics. I think this is probably the favorite of the standard critics. So probably Wanderlust King, my favorite song. Super Theory of Super Everything. Harem in Tuscany, Taranta. My Strange Uncles from Abroad. American Wedding. There's all kinds of some really cool song titles along the way. My number 2 album is going to be from 2005. This one in 2005 was produced by Steve Albini. So this is Gogol Bordello, Gypsy Punk's Underworld World Strike. So you can see that sort of controversial word gypsy. They're using it right on their title. I know Eugene's is part Roma in ancestry, but I think there are some Roma activists that were not happy with his choice there. So you got this nice sort of yellow and black on this, and immigrant punk. Start wearing purple. Start wearing purple. Maybe might be my favorite Gogol Bordello song. It actually appeared on the debut album Voila Intruder. They brought it back. This is a better version. And then again, some great song titles. Not a Crime. I Would Never Want to Be Young Again. Think Locally, Fuck Globally. Underdog World Strike. And so there's sort of the back. And so my favorite album by them is from 2010. So Eugene has moved to Brazil, so you're starting to get a little bit of the Brazilian sound in, but it's still got sort of that Eastern European Roma music along with the punk vibe going. This is Transcontinental Hustle from 2010. This is my number 1 Gogol Bordello album. This was produced by Rick Rubin. And so probably the best song on here is Immigrada, We Come in Ruffa. We come in Ruffa every time. The Parle Tuta, My Compañera. So Parle Tuta is the first song. My Compañera is the second song. Rebellious Love, When Universes Collide. I think this is just, if you want a starter album, I would go with this one. Although, as I said, I think any of the top 3 are going to be fine. And again, just kind of recap my 7-1 on Gogol Bordello. My number 7, the debut, Voila Intruder from 1999. My number 6, Pura Vida Conspiracy from 2013. My number 5, the most recent album, Seekers and Finders from 2017. My number 4 is their second album from 2002, Multi Contra Colti versus Irony. Hard titles. And then again, sort of the top 3 of Gogol Bordello. Super Tranta from 2007 is my number 3. Gypsy Punk's Underworld World Strike from 2005 is my number 2. And again, my personal favorite from 2010, Transcontinental Hustle. All right. Thanks for watching. See you another time.